This is the tale of Chris and the magic faucet. Once upon a time in the fictional town of Springfield, there lived a man named Chris. Unlike your typical hero, Chris was not blessed with extraordinary abilities, incredible strength, or magical powers. He was just an average guy, but he had one thing that set him apart: his insatiable curiosity. Chris possessed an unquenchable thirst for knowledge and adventure. Every nook and cranny of Springfield was familiar to him, and no secret remained hidden for long. However, this quality often got him into trouble. His insatiable desire to investigate everything meant he frequently found himself in precarious situations. But Chris never backed down from a challenge. Instead, he faced it head-on with a combination of his sharp intellect and unwavering determination. One day, while strolling through the town square, Chris noticed something peculiar. The fountain in the middle of the plaza, which had been dormant for years, was gushing water. Startled by this sudden spectacle, he decided to investigate. As he approached the fountain, he noticed a small, intricately carved wooden box resting on top. Intrigued, he opened the box and discovered a key. Just then, a tiny voice echoed from within the fountain. "Whoever retrieves my treasure shall inherit my power." At first, Chris thought he was merely hearing things. After all, who talks like that? But the voice persisted, growing louder and more insistent. It urged him to fix the fountain and promised untold power as a reward. Now, some might have dismissed this as a childish prank or even a hallucination. However, Chris's inquisitive nature took over. Could there be a hidden secret beneath Springfield's most prominent landmark? Was this a forgotten relic from the town's past or something more fantastical? With these questions swirling in his mind, Chris found himself drawn deeper into the mystery. The idea of unearthing a hidden power so intrigued him that he decided to follow the voice's instructions and fix the fountain. And so began Chris's extraordinary adventure. What kind of power could be hidden inside a seemingly ordinary fountain? And what challenges would he face in his quest to uncover it? The answers lay hidden beneath the surface, waiting for Chris to dive into the mystery. The next morning, Chris returned to the fountain armed with tools to repair the centuries-old structure. He carefully examined the intricate carvings, trying to decipher their meaning. Each turn revealed more complex designs until he noticed a pattern resembling a gear. With a gentle touch, he aligned the carving with the keyhole on the box, and to his astonishment, the box lid creaked open, revealing a spiral staircase leading into the ground. As Chris descended the stairs, he noticed the walls were adorned with paintings depicting the fountain's history. The artwork showed a grander version of the fountain, hinting at its former glory. But the paintings also revealed a dark secret. A group of cloaked figures were seen tampering with the fountain, attempting to steal its power. The final painting showed the fountain being sealed away with only a single keyhole left accessible. Emerging from the tunnels, Chris found himself in a subterranean chamber illuminated by mystical blue light. In the center stood an enormous golden faucet, pulsating with otherworldly energy. Runes covered its surface, glowing faintly. As he approached, the runes flared and the faucet began to speak. "You have found me, seeker of knowledge. I am the keeper of forgotten lore, and I have been waiting for you." Its voice echoed with ancient wisdom. Startled by the talking faucet, Chris instinctively took a step back. But the faucet continued, sensing his apprehension. "Fear not, young seeker, I mean you no harm. In fact, I have great power that I wish to bestow upon you." Chris cautiously approached the faucet, intrigued by its offer. "What power do you speak of?" he asked, his voice echoing in the cavernous chamber. "My power," the faucet rumbled, "lies within these waters. They hold the essence of forgotten magic, the ability to manipulate the very fabric of reality." As it spoke, the water within the faucet swirled and shimmered, seeming to writhe with arcane energy. "But why me?" Chris couldn't help but ask. "Why have you chosen me to wield such power?" The faucet paused, its metallic voice echoing in the chamber before answering. "You, seeker, have shown a pure heart and an insatiable thirst for knowledge. You have the potential to use my power for great good." Chris considered the faucet's words. He had always yearned for adventure, for a chance to make a real difference in the world. But wielding magic, manipulating the very fabric of reality, seemed like an immense responsibility. Nevertheless, the allure of the unknown, the chance to be more than just an ordinary man, was too strong to resist. "Very well," he said finally, his voice echoing with newfound determination. "I accept your offer. Teach me how to use your magic." And so began Chris's training under the enigmatic golden faucet. The vast chamber reverberated with the faucet's ancient power as it shared its arcane knowledge with its new apprentice. The golden faucet explained that its power lay dormant for centuries, sealed away by its previous wielder, a sorcerer who feared the potential consequences of such magic falling into the wrong hands. However, the sorcerer's descendants had long since passed away, leaving the power of the fountain untapped and vulnerable. Realizing the danger of leaving this power unguarded, the golden faucet sought out Chris, sensing his pure heart and thirst for knowledge. It believed that he was worthy of wielding its magic, but it also recognized the immensity of such power and the potential dangers it held. Thus began a rigorous training regimen. The golden faucet taught Chris how to harness the magical essence of the fountain, instilling in him a deep understanding and respect for its power. It was a patient teacher, recognizing that wielding magic required not just raw power, but also wisdom and control. Under the guidance of the golden faucet, Chris learned to channel the magical energies surging within the very core of the earth, manifesting them through the faucet. He practiced simple spells, focusing his will to produce tangible results, each success building upon the last. But the golden faucet also cautioned Chris about the potential pitfalls of magic. It warned him of the seductive whispers of power, reminding him that magic was not just a tool, but a force of nature demanding respect and responsibility. Days turned into weeks as Chris immersed himself in this newfound world of magic and wonder. Yet, despite the progress he made, he knew that true mastery was a long way off. The golden faucet, wise beyond measure, understood the depth of Chris's dedication and the challenges that lay ahead. It sensed the darkness that stirred in the shadows, drawn to the resurfacing of magic and prepared to guide its apprentice through the trials that were sure to come. Chris emerged from the chamber, his eyes shining with the newfound power he now possessed. He had mastered several spells under the golden faucet's guidance, gaining a sense of control over the magical energies coursing through the fountain. But he knew his journey was far from over. The golden faucet had warned him of lurking dangers, and Chris was determined to be ready. He decided to put his skills to the test, venturing into the nearby Whisperwood, a dense and ancient forest shrouded in mystery. As he walked, he focused his magical senses, reaching out to feel the energy of the land. Suddenly, a rustle in the undergrowth made him whirl around. A small band of goblins emerged, their eyes gleaming with malicious intent. They had sensed the magical aura surrounding Chris and were looking to make a quick profit by robbing him. Without hesitation, Chris countered with a blast of concussive force, sending the goblins sprawling. They snarled and lunged, brandishing crude weapons, but Chris was ready. With a wave of his hand, vines erupted from the ground, ensnaring the goblins and binding their limbs. "Don't move," he commanded, his voice firm, "or I'll make those vines a little tighter." The goblins, realizing they were outmatched, surrendered quickly. Chris, keeping his guard up, questioned them, hoping to learn more about the disturbances in the area. The goblins, grumbling and resentful, revealed that they were merely pawns in a larger scheme. Their leader, a powerful warlock named Malcor, was stirring unrest in the nearby village of Oakhaven. Fueled by the goblins' tales of Malcor's nefarious schemes, Chris wasted no time in heading towards Oakhaven. The golden faucet's warning about the resurgence of darkness weighed heavily on his mind. He sensed that Malcor's growing influence was part of a much larger, darker force stirring in the shadows, and he felt compelled to act. Arriving at Oakhaven, Chris found a town in turmoil. Villagers huddled together, fear etched on their faces, recounting tales of livestock being found drained of life, crops withering overnight, and a creeping dread that seemed to permeate the very air. Determined to restore order, Chris decided to visit the local tavern, hoping to gather more information. As he entered the tavern, the room fell silent. All eyes turned to him, some with suspicion, others with desperate hope. Taking a seat, he ordered a drink and waited, letting his magical senses tune into the whispers around him. Soon enough, the villagers began sharing their fears. A chill seemed to fall over the room as tales of strange occurrences and a looming sense of despair filled the air. Among the villagers was a young woman who seemed particularly troubled. Her name was Alora, and she spoke of her younger brother, Liam, who had gone missing in the days prior. With a heavy heart, Chris realized that Malcor's presence was casting a long shadow over Oakhaven, affecting not just the town's livelihood, but its very soul. Determined to bring light back into the gloom, he decided to follow Alora home, hoping to find some clue as to where her brother might be. Little did he know that this simple act of kindness would lead him straight into the heart of Malcor's web of darkness. Chris and Alara arrived at a modest cottage on the outskirts of town. As the two stood before the house, the weight of the villagers' hopes seemed to settle upon them. With a deep breath, Chris reached out, focusing his magical senses. Despite the lingering darkness, he could sense a faint, familiar magical signature coming from inside the house. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but to Chris's trained senses it was clear. This was the magic of the fountain. Had Malkor somehow already discovered the hidden chamber? Or perhaps worse, had he managed to capture the fountain's spirit, corrupting its pure power? Whatever the case, Chris knew he had to act swiftly. With Alara watching intently, Chris knocked on the door. A moment passed, then another, the silence stretching into an uneasy quiet. Just when Chris began to wonder if they were alone, a guttural voice echoed from within. "Who's there?" Chris exchanged a worried glance with Alara. "It's me, sir," he called out, his voice echoing in the stillness. "I'm here to help." As the voice grew closer, the door creaked open, revealing a shadowy figure silhouetted against the dim light from within. Before either could speak, the figure lunged. Chris reacted instantly, stepping aside just as a dark tendril lashed out, striking the wall beside him. He glanced at Alara, ensuring she was unharmed before turning back to face the newcomer. Standing in the doorway was a man cloaked in shadows, his face obscured by a hood. But what truly caught Chris's attention was the faint glow emanating from beneath the man's feet. It was the same eerie green glow that had surrounded the goblins. "Malkor," Chris stated, recognizing the warlock's telltale magic signature. "So you found me," Malkor sneered, amusement lacing his voice. "I've been expecting you." With a flick of his wrist, he gestured behind him, and the shadowy figure stepped forward, revealing itself as a hulking ogre armed with a wicked-looking battle axe. Chris, assessing the situation quickly, reached out, drawing upon the power of the golden faucet. A surge of arcane energy flowed through him, and he braced himself for the impending confrontation. The battle was about to begin.